Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in today's podcast, we're going to be looking at the two big, exciting matches coming up on the weekend. First up, we will look at Brighton versus Liverpool. And the big one, Arsenal taking on the mighty Man City. Viewers and subscribers, it's been a tremendous week of football, and much talk is still going on about that Liverpool Spurs game in terms of the poor refereeing decision by the VAR officials, and the audio has been released, and it has been, the topic of much discussion this week. But the football keeps moving, and you can't afford to dwell on these things too long, otherwise it may catch up to you. And teams have been in action both in the Champions League, Europa League, and of course the Europa Conference League. And results have varied across the board. But coming up on the weekend, we have two exciting matches, viewers and subscribers. Brighton versus Liverpool. That's the first one on our agenda. And then later, we'll also dissect and break down Arsenal versus Man City. But let's jump straight into it, viewers and subscribers. Brighton at home taking on Liverpool. Now, of course, both teams come into this match off defeats. Aston Villa took apart Brighton 6 goals to 1, while it was controversy and a close-knitted affair. Nine-man Liverpool losing 2-1 on the last kick of the ball to Spurs. And that result has really set the cat amongst the pigeons. It's very tight at the top of the table. Brighton losing, Liverpool losing, Man City losing as well. And we will discuss the Man City game later. But let's now take a look at Brighton and Liverpool and what we can expect for this fixture. Coming into this one, I really expect a very entertaining game. Both teams have been playing some good quality football since the start of the season. And, Brighton has become one of the teams which is very easy on the eyes. And of course, Liverpool continue on the clock with their attacking style of football. Goals are always in these matches, and especially for Brighton, who are joint leading scorers in the EPL thus far this season. But much like Liverpool, they have a very leaky like defense. So for this one, I am definitely expecting goals. This one taking place over there in Brighton. Liverpool playing away from home have had a good away record. Their unbeaten run came to an end at Spurs last week, but I am sure they will still be feeling the effects of that loss and will be looking to bounce back. And the same can be said of Brighton. Brighton were really embarrassed in their last game versus Aston Villa, and in front of their home fans, they too will be looking to bounce back. Now, of course, both Brighton and Liverpool also played today on Thursday, where they were playing in the Europa League. Brighton 2-0 down, coming from behind to draw against Marseille 2-2, while Liverpool didn't have it all their way, but they did manage to win their match 2-0. So both teams had European matches. Both teams did fairly well. Brighton coming from behind, so they definitely can take something from that game, some level of confidence, while Liverpool continue their exploits in Europe, racking up another, what you could classify as another routine win, scoring 2 goals at home and coming away with a clean sheet as well. I'm sure Klopp will be rather proud of that feat, because the Liverpool defense hasn't really been the most solid this season. We also saw the return of Trent Alexander in that game, where he got roughly 60 minutes. So your guess is as good as mine, viewers and subscribers. The question will be, will he start this game against Brighton, coming off an injury? We definitely know that two players who won't be a part of this Liverpool squad for these fixtures are the two players who picked up red cards in the fixture versus Spurs. So Jones is definitely out of this one, and also Jata. We also saw where Gakpo also picked up an injury in that Spurs game, and it's a run for him in terms of being fit for this game. I am not sure Klopp will risk him, and I think Darwin Núñez may very well come into the starting lineup. Brighton also has been dealing with some injuries. I'm hearing that Estupinian, that very attacking left fullback, has picked up an injury also and is seemingly unavailable for this fixture. So both teams will be looking to make changes. Of course, we know Brighton is a team which constantly rotate their players. You can never really be sure as to which set of players will start. But of course, there are certain linchpin within that team that you expect to be on the starting 11. Mitoma, for example, jumps out, have been having a tremendous season, very tricky winger. Dunk, the captain, solid as a rock in their defensive line. And of course, in the midfield, Grass is a constant on that Brighton 11 as well. So definitely Brighton has a few linchpin players that you would be expecting to be in that starting 11. But in terms of the other players who complement these potential starters, your guess is as good as mine. It's a toss-up. Sometimes we see Welbeck up front, other times it might be Ferguson. Sometimes we see Joe Pedro getting a start, other times he's coming off the bench. Lamptey should come in for the injured Estopinian. And of course, Solly March, a very quiet player, but very effective. And he has been getting the job done for De Zerbi as well. On the Liverpool side of things, their 11 is a bit more predictable, I would say. Of course, Alisson should be in goal. In the backline, Virgil van Dijk should return. And I believe his partner should be Matip. I feel Klopp would stick with Matip, for this one, not to say any punishment, so to speak. He did manage to score that own goal with the last kick of the ball in that, previous game against Spurs. But I think Klopp will, stick to his guns. And I think a Matip Van Dijk partnership may very well be what we see in this one. Robertson should return to the team. He was rested for the Europa League match, and he should return. I'm thinking though that in the right back position, Trent may very well start this one. We saw him play 60 against, in the Europa League match. And I think Klopp with this Brighton team can be very tricky. This Brighton team is a possession-based team. And Trent, the team, Klopp has managed to integrate Trent in this team in such a way where he becomes this extra sort of deep lying midfield playmaker type right fullback, almost like a hybrid version, copying the style which, Pep brought into the fray. And I think even though Trent may not play the full game, I believe he will start this one because I think that extra body in midfield will do this Liverpool team well in terms of countering or limiting the sort of ball dominance which we usually see from a typical Brighton team under De Zerbi. So I feel Klopp will bring Trent Alexander-Arnold back into the team. He may not play the full 90, but I feel he will start. Now, of course, in the midfield, it should be the former Brighton player. McAllister should be the linchpin inside that Liverpool tree, supported, of course, by Soboslai. But the third midfielder is where I question Klopp's selection. Will he go with an Endo or will he go with an Elliott? I think that is the big question as to who will be that third midfield player. Of course, Jones is usually the regular go-to guy, but Jones, of course, is out now serving a 3-match suspension because of that red card in the Spurs game. And then up front, of course, Salah and Diaz on either flank, and then through the middle, based on the injury to Gakpo, I think Darwin Núñez may be the one who leads the line in this fixture. I feel this game may come a bit too soon for Gakpo, and he may be fit enough to be on the bench, but I feel Klopp may very well lean towards Núñez and try to exploit the weaknesses in that Brighton defense. Viewers and subscribers, I believe this is going to be a very thrilling game, one which is very good to watch on the eyes, free flowing football, both teams looking to dominate possession, break either of them down, and really attacking football. I don't believe any of these teams will be looking to sit back and soak up pressure. I believe both teams are high pressing team, high energy team, excellent passing, excellent movement, well coached teams. And I believe both teams will be going out for that 3 points. Both teams need that 3 points, especially coming off defeats. And I just believe it's going to be a very entertaining affair, a very good match to watch, especially for the neutrals. The atmosphere should be electric, and both managers should be coming into this one looking to grab nothing other than 3 points. So it's going to be a very tight tactical battle. Of course, for me, though, I feel this game is going to be lost in the defense. Whichever team is able to put up a better defensive showing, I believe that team will walk away the winners. I expect goals because defensively, both teams are very shaky. So I definitely expect goals, and that is where I think this game will be won or lost for either team. Whichever team can put up the best defensive presence, whichever team comes with the better pressing, because both teams are teams which press the football, and of course we see where Brighton in their usual playing style invite that pressure and then play out from that pressure. So Brighton is always saying, hey, come and press the ball. So Klopp will definitely have to formulate a plan in terms of how to exploit that sort of press. We saw Aston Villa under Emery did an extremely tremendous job from a tactical point of view in terms of his setup, in terms of those pressing moments, in terms of funneling Brighton into the channels which they don't want to play. And we saw where it was quite effective for Aston Villa, putting 6 past that Brighton defense. And if Liverpool is able to mimic that style to any large degree, they too may find success. But of course, De Zerbi is no fool. He would have gone back to the drawing board and would have looked at areas of weaknesses and areas which they need to tighten up on. And of course, would have formulated a plan also entering into this game. But this one is going to be a tight one, viewers and subscribers. It's going to be an entertaining, exciting game. I am definitely looking forward to this one. This one will be an excellent match for the neutrals, and in terms of a scoreline, viewers and subscribers, instinctively, I am leaning towards a Liverpool win. I just feel Liverpool will have too much firepower for this Brighton team. And while I expect both teams to score, I anticipate that Liverpool may very well get more of the goals. But again, you cannot write this Brighton team off. So even if Brighton wins, it would not come to me as a surprise because they have been playing some tremendous football over the period and, playing in front of their home fans as well. That will just act as an added catalyst to really drive them forward and try to expose what I would classify also as a very weak Liverpool defense. Definitely susceptible and definitely liable to concede as well. It's just a matter as to how many goals they will concede in the process. But my instincts are telling me that Liverpool should come away with this one with 3 points. But viewers and subscribers, your guess is as good as mine. Let me know. Share your thoughts in the comment section. But we move to the big one. Arsenal versus Man City. that is the match coming up on Sunday, and all eyes will be on that match. That match is like a top of the table clash, and the result could definitely have some serious ramifications in terms of where the EPL title lands this season. Of course, last year, Arsenal tried to stay with Man City at the top of the table, but Man City was too much for Arsenal last season. Can Arsenal live with Man City this time around? That is the question. This match taking place, of course, at the Emirates. So Arsenal are at home. And of course, the Jubilant fans should be up for this one, providing some vocal support and trying to create a very intimidating atmosphere for this Man City team. Of course, the expectations are going to be high. Arteta has splashed the cash in the transfer market, have brought in a number of key players, and he would have been hoping that these key players would have added the impetus that will take them past Man City, because that has to be the objective for this season. The objective has to be to go for the EPL title. They brought in Rice, 100 million plus, linchpin in the midfield. They brought in Kai Havertz, big money signing again, and they will definitely be looking to get a victory from this game versus Man City. Would be a statement win, master versus apprentice. Of course, we know Arteta studied under Pep for several years at Man City. Now Arteta is on his own, and we see where Arteta has been, making some rather big decisions, at the start of the season, bringing in the likes of Raya, dropping Ramsdale. Big call, big call. Will it pay off? Will these tactical moves and these player selection moves pay off? That is the question. This will be a true test of the ambitions of Arsenal this season. This should be a game they're going in taking a must-win mentality too. Man City are the champions, and for you to become champions, you have to beat the current champions. So this is the prime opportunity for Arsenal to make a statement when it matters the most. Arteta must go in this game looking to get a win. Of course, Pep will also be looking to get a win, especially after losing to Wolves last week. That was a shock result. Man City beaten by Wolves. And of course, Pep will be looking for his team to bounce back in this fixture. This is like a final, so both teams will be coming all guns blazing. Arsenal made easy work last week, came away with a win, and now it's very congested at the top of the table. Now, what can we expect from these two teams tactically? What can we expect from these two coaches? Let's take a first look at Arsenal. Arsenal, number of players out injured. So that's the first, thing that catches our eye. Saka picked up an injury, so his place may be up for grabs. Martinelli picked up an injury, might not make the starting 11. So up front, it's possible an attacking three of Nketiah down the middle, flanked by Trossard and Jesus. That may very well be the starting trio which goes into the match if Saka and Martinelli cannot recover in time from their injuries. In the midfield, changes again, Partey out, injured. So in the midfield, you're looking at a possible trio of Odegaard, Rice, and Vieira. And then, of course, the tried and tested back four, the back four which did the business last season. Ben Blanco, Gabriel, Saliba, Zinchenko. And the big change in the goal, Raya should come in for Ramsdale. Raya have seemingly taken the number one spot. And Arteta will be hoping that with that change, we see productivity and a better passing out from the back, a better building from the back with Raya, who may be better with his feet when compared to Ramsdale. That has to be the thinking, because from a goalkeeping point of view, I personally don't see the difference between the two keepers in terms of their goalkeeping skills. Where I do see the difference, maybe it's in the passing and in the distribution. Statistically, it would appear as if Raya has better passing stats. Not to forget, Raya is also Spanish. Arteta is also Spanish. So could that be the connection? Could that be the connection? We know a goalkeeper is a very important part of any team and has to be in sync, has to be in coordination with the coach. And Raya, Spanish in nature, Arteta also Spanish, so Ramsdale find himself on the outside looking in as an Englishman. So that is something to definitely keep an eye on, viewers and subscribers. Then from a Man City point of view, again, Man City, much like Arsenal, is dealing with injuries. But up front, it should be Haaland, that goal scoring machine. Then, of course, in the hole behind Haaland should be Alvarez, playing in the stead of Kevin De Bruyne, who is out injured. For me, it's gonna be Foden. Foden has been having a tremendous season thus far, and he should be flanked on the opposite side by Doku, that attacking winger, very good in one-on-one situation. And I believe Grealish will find himself on the bench for this one. Now, in the midfield, we know that Rodri is still serving his suspension from that red card incident. So in should step Phillips, the forgotten man, the man who can't start a game. He should be thrown in the deep end for this one. Inside there as well, maybe Kovacic. And my money would be on Bernardo Silva to now come in and make up that midfield tree. But of course, we know Pep, very unpredictable. He's always throwing a spanner in the works. Just when you think you have Pep figured out, there are some selections which blows your mind. Where did this one come from? We did not see this one coming. But for me, that should be the midfield tree, which will try to take the game to Arsenal. Of course, in the back line, Walker has been an ever-present thus far. Diaz should be in the heart of the defense with, I would think, Ake and possibly Gabriel. That should be the four at the back. And of course, Ederson should be in goal. But that's my predicted 11. I believe these players on either side are capable of getting a result. But I think for sure the Arsenal attack has been more weakened by their injuries, because you're looking at Saka being out, if that is the case, and Martinelli, two of their top attacking players from the previous season, and two players who have been on form this season as well. So in terms of the injuries and what it takes away from the team, it should take away a bit of that attacking prowess which Arsenal usually display. So going into this one, I would say from a player point of view, if the injuries hold true and these players are unavailable for this fixture, Man City should have the slight player edge. But that is if the injuries hold true. Oftentimes we hear of players being injured, and of course, miraculously, they're in the starting 11 and performing at a high level. These coaches are not giving anything away. They are not showing their hands. We could listen the press conferences from now until midnight, and we still would not figure out who is playing, who is starting, who is injured, who is out. These coaches are not showing their hands. They are oftentimes playing mind games with the opposition coach so as to throw off their plans or not to make their selections be that predictable. So your guess is as good as mine whether or not Saka and Martinelli will be available for this fixture. But as it is currently, as all the reports are now saying, they are saying Saka is out. They are also saying Martinelli is out. So for me, in should step Trossard, in should step Nketiah, in should step Jesus, and that should be the Arsenal, attacking tree going forward. Of course, both teams will be looking to impose themselves on each other. They play similar attacking style. They play a similar pressing game. So again, much like the Liverpool-Brighton game, this is another game that is going to be very pleasing on the eyes for the neutral. These are teams which play possession-based football. These are teams which try to build their attacks from the back. These are teams which press high up on the pitch and try to win the ball back. These are teams which are not used to sitting back. But of course, it's going to be a chess game. It's going to be a tactical battle. And to me, this game is going to be won or lost in the midfield. This game is going to be won or lost in the midfield. And whichever team can really win that midfield battle and really dominate the game or dominate the center of the park, I feel they will have enough of the ball to create enough chances to put either side away. Of course, Man City possess that X factor, the man called Haaland. Can he be stopped? Can Gabriel and Saliba keep Haaland at bay? Just when you think you have him under control, he pops up with a goal out of nothing. Just when you think he's out of the game, not getting any touches, all he needs is a half chance or just the sniff of a chance. He is lethal in front of goal. So he is definitely the X factor to look out for. And of course, Alvarez has been in red hot form. Where does Pep get these players from? Is the Man City scouting network so good that these gems are being picked up out of nowhere? Before Alvarez signed, he was not touted as any so-called big baller. But Pep found this gem and has really polished him up. And now you can see him shining for the world to see. So Alvarez, red hot form. It would not surprise me if he trouble the score sheet in this one as well, because he has not only been creating goals, he has been scoring quite a few himself. And of course, Foden and Doku, again, another gem which seemed to come out of nowhere from the Manchester City scouting network. Doku had just slot in this Man City team as if he has been there forever. He doesn't look out of place. He looks like one of the bright attacking sparks in this Man City team. And the important thing for Doku is that he adds something different from the other players. He is a direct player who can run with the ball, who can beat defenders, put in crosses, create chances, or even score the goals himself. So he's a very exciting talent to definitely keep an eye on. Now, viewers and subscribers, I'm sure as you hear me break down this team, you can see the narrative shaping in terms of where my head is at in relation to who will come out of this one, the victors. And for me, viewers and subscribers, I see only one winner. And that winner, I think, will be Man City. I just feel they will have too much for Arsenal, especially if the Arsenal players before mentioned are indeed out injured. I don't believe the current players which Arsenal have to come in as replacements for Saka and Martinelli will be good enough to really dismantle this Man City defense. You know, Man City has one of the strongest defense in the league currently in terms of limiting the number of chances you create and also the concession of goals. And I don't believe Nketiah, Jesus playing against his old team, and Trossard will have enough firepower to outscore this Man City output. I believe though, but both teams will score. I believe Arsenal will score, playing at home in front of their fans. But I do believe Manchester City will also score, also, especially because of that loss versus Wolves. It's not often times that Man City goes 2 EPL games in a row and not trouble the back of the net. They failed to trouble the back of the net versus Wolves, and I don't believe that will be a reoccurrence. I do believe they will score. And I believe they will score enough to get a victory in this one. So for me, I am calling this one 2-1. in favor of Man City. I just believe they're going to have too much, especially with the Arsenal injuries. That is the key dynamic for me personally. That is the key factor that has me leaning more towards a Man City win than anything else. It's not that Arsenal don't have the quality players to compete. I do believe they'll be able to compete in the midfield, even though their midfield to me is a bit weakened with Vieira. They have Rice, they have Odegaard, who have been constant starters all season. But the attack is where I think they have lost a bit of potency if the players Saka and Martinelli are indeed injured, especially Saka. A lot of the creative responsibilities lies on Saka. Not only does he create chances, provide assists, but he is also a consistent enough goal scorer currently, not only from the penalty spot, but also in open play. Of course, the midfield will also have to keep an eye on Odegaard because he has been banging them in as well from his role in the midfield as that attacking midfield link. So it will be interesting to see the tactics that Pep has in store to limit the influence of an Odegaard on this game. And of course, Man City is not without their flaws either. Their midfield is a bit of makeshift, but that is the typical Pep. You really don't know which combination of players he will be looking to utilize for various games. So your guess is as good as mine as to who. But the real X factor is the difference with the two attacks. When you look at the players that Man City has, Haaland, Alvarez, Doku, Foden, I believe though that front four is better than the Arsenal front four of Jesus, Odegaard, Trossard, and Jesus. I believe that front four comes second to the Man City front four. If Saka and Martinelli were in there, it would be a different ball game. I still would believe the Man City front four, especially with Haaland, is better than the Arsenal front four, but the gap would be closer. No, the gap is a bit wider in terms of the quality, in terms of individual players for individual players. Because if you look at it, if you compare player by player, you'll definitely agree with me that the Man City attack is a better attack than the Arsenal attack. You're looking at Haaland versus, let's say, Jesus, for argument's sake, Foden versus Trossard, Doku versus Nketiah, Odegaard versus Alvarez. I mean, it should be a no-brainer, definitely in terms of names. Man City definitely edges it. But of course, we know the game is played on the field, not on paper. So while names may be better on paper, you have to go there and get the job done. But instinctively, for me, I am calling this one for Man City. I believe Man City will go in this one, coming off a loss, looking to get a victory, looking to solidify themselves as defending champions, showing no fear, will go to the Emirates and will walk away with 3 points. I believe, again, it's going to be another master versus apprentice, and I feel Arteta may fall in the same trap that Pep has been accused of in the past, where he goes in the game and overthinks it. You thinker until you overthink. So Arteta has to be careful not to overcoach and overthink this game if they are to get a result. Sometimes you just have to rely on the footballing instincts of the players in front of you and not necessarily on all the finer details of coaching. You have to allow the players to play and express themselves. And I feel with Pep has come to that realization. Based on training, he is not now placing the trust in the hands of the players. I don't believe Arteta is there just yet. He has to overcome certain internal demons. He has to trust himself more. He has to develop that ego and that arrogance, which we see from Pep. So Arteta is yet to learn these finer traits of management. He is getting there, but I think he needs time and he definitely will need results. Pep got his results last year in the Champions League, where constantly he was overthinking, but in that Champions League, Rodri came up with a magnificent goal and they managed to lift that title, ending the season with a treble. And that solidified Pep, in my mind, at the top of that pyramid of managers. He is the GOAT of managers for me. And, it's good that Arteta studied under him, but I feel he is not yet at that level of Pep. He is just below that level. And I think this game will also show that from a tactical point of view. But viewers and subscribers, your guess is as good as mine. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. But thanks for being here with me. Yet another episode of Beating the Press podcast. The football is coming rapid and quick. Results of this nature will be very significant for where teams end up in the table at the end of the season. But we will continue to bring you these breakdowns, these previews, and also these reviews when we do them. But I just like to extend a thanks to all the viewers and subscribers who have stuck with us. Please continue to share the podcast. If you haven't subscribed as yet, please help us to grow by doing so. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.